Welcome back, everyone. I'm the Bella Gamer, and today I have a very interesting video for all of you because it's gonna approach Pathfinder from a different angle than some of you might not be aware of. First of all, obviously, yes, this is a video to tell you whether you, the individual, should get the Tian Xia World Guide. And that is something that I think is going to be evident as we go through the video based on what you want from your tabletop. As I think this is also a really good video to kind of talk about what a world book is and why this is potentially huge for your tabletop. So, if you're not familiar, the world guide here, the cover that we have, which is very colorful and something that I think really is going to hit my point on the head, is a book that tells you about a location in the setting of Pathfinder's, Galarian. This is a very good and very amazing book because for the longest time, we really have only had Avistan and Garon, the main two continents, to have your adventures placed in. Now, a lot of GMs do like to have their own setting, and I think that's completely fine. And for those kinds of people, this might not be the book for you, even though there are some character options, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But for a lot of other people, especially for those who are using the various adventure paths, and I know adventure paths are actually a really big part of the market, you're going to be playing in Galarian. And even though your adventure path might not take place in Tian Xia, it might actually be relevant to your game anyway. The World Guide tells us about a whole continent. So not only does this book just give us a whole continent, but it chops it up into little bits where we get to find out about all the different kinds of people and beings and all the history and story found in this region. This is perfect fodder for making your characters. And this image here is something that you could have backstory related to when you yourself took place in a race versus an actual water imperial dragon. Because that's a thing. That's why I think this book is absolutely amazing. And even if it's not the most obviously player facing content, I feel like players are kind of missing the hidden OP nature of world books because this can make your character so colorful, so much more full of life. I guarantee, take some of the tips I'm about to give you here in this video, and your characters will become instantly better and more fun to play. So we're back here to the world map, or the continent map rather, and you can see here, it is massive. All the red dotted lines kind of separating the different territories. And they talk about each and every one of these. Each and every one of these have some unique storylines that are super cool. Whether you're from a region where the Naga and Nagaji actually get along with human and non-Naga nations, or maybe you come from the Darklands that exists underneath the nations. And this is my favorite part of the book, actually, as it introduces the Darklands as rather than just kind of this inhospitable, almost alien region that is beneath all of our feet. It's more commonly used for like black market dealing and everything. And this one image is so colorful and filled with so many aspects of the entire book. We got a pipe fox up here, we got the Yosoki, and we have a Yang doing bartering over there in the corner. And another thing I really like about this book is each of these sections here have these kind of primers where you get an idea of the region, the types of people who live here, and the languages that they speak, as well as what resources they have easily available. If you want to play a mercantile-esque game where you go and you deliver resources to other regions to get more gold for your group, I mean, like, Spice and Wolf is already kind of doing it, so this is perfect material for running something just like that. And this book offers a lot more than just stuff like this. This book also includes new gods as well as some revised versions of old gods that are brought up to what is the remaster, but also you'll see here divine mysteries this is a book that hasn't come out yet. So this book is already primed for when new material is coming out later this year. And you get these new gods that offer you new spells if you're a cleric, that give you new weapons for a favored weapon, and all kinds of things. Their anathema, their edicts, all like anything you need is here. And you get to find out about these really cool and interesting deities that they've come up for the region. Lady Nanbio actually affecting the very map, and you can go to a place where her influence was, I guess, placed on the world. There's also unique factions that come from this region, as well as mentioning of factions that were native to Avista and Garand. So your character having some association with these is something that can be very interesting for your story and add a lot of context for why your character may act in a way. And each region also has the geography, locations, important people, people in the government, wherever. But the biggest and most important thing I think that is more relevant to players is this day in a whatever region, Chuye for this one. Each place has a day in it and a year in it. Also, this really cool pronunciation guide, which is something that I find is very interesting. But the reason why I mention these things specifically is, well, a lot of the other stuff is more relevant to like your game, like what people you might run into or what locations you might go into. The day in whatever region and the year in whatever region talk about what the average person goes through, the kind of individuals you might meet or talk to, as well as in the year part, what kind of holidays you guys might have or what kind of special seasons you might have to deal with. The Valashimai jungle has a literal season called dinosaur season. Essentially, it's called dinosaur season, where dinosaur populations get so high that they need to cull them or suffer great damage every year. And this is something that's super influential for your character. What kind of things your character might have experience with, or what reasons why your character might do anything, comes specifically from the parts of the book that talk about what the average person might go through and what a region is, what they might need, all this other kinds of stuff. This is more than enough reason if you want to expand your character profile to have characters from Tian Xia. As a player, this book is not bad. Even if you just want to pick it up as a PDF, this is not a bad book to have, because just looking through these sections, adding some of them to your character's backstory will add such potent flavor and such interesting things. And of course, you don't need to necessarily belong to any kind of Asian cultures in order to respectfully be able to represent them in your character. Many of these regions don't have characters who are stereotypically Asian by any means. Obviously, considering the different kinds of ancestries characters might have, and just the fact that Asian isn't a specific thing in the first place, but many different things. So there are ways that you can represent this in your characters and really embolden your play style by having unique aspects that are hard to find anything else. The writers of this book knew what they were doing. They had so many different writers from so many different viewpoints and different kinds of backings and history that make this book very diverse and interesting. All the characters in this book are very diverse. You're never going to see like cookie cutter templates of any kind of characters represented in the material. And as well, there's just so many different ancestries, types of people, anything you can want. There's probably a character you might be able to relate to written into this book as a character that you might even come across on your adventures. Now, for a GM, this book is an obvious win, right? You get a whole continent, whole bunch of regions, all kinds of story material, everything you need to know about like what happens in these regions, and it's absolutely perfect. But for the player side, if you're not necessarily interested in maybe having a character from Tian Xia, then this book might not be for you, and that's completely okay. There are some player options, as I kind of alluded to before, and not just the deities. There's a section called the Test of Virtue, which, to be fair, this will probably be found on Archive and Nephis once they eventually get it up, but they're still inputting data from the Monster Core, so it might be a little bit of time. But this section is insanely cool because the Tests of Virtue are essentially rituals. I mean, they are actually rituals, and they're rare, so, they'd be difficult to find, but they have this unique tag called the trial tag. Trials are a specific act you have to do, and if you commit the trial's anathema, then you lose the benefits of the trial, what it would give you. So, for instance, let me give you one, the Power of the Beasts. So it's a ritual that once you complete it, which in order to complete it, you must beat in hand-to-hand combat about 3, maybe 2 beasts that are one to like 3 sizes larger than you. Once you complete this ritual, you get access to the Titan Wrestler feat. You just get a free feat by doing this ritual, but if you commit the anathema of this one, which is using a weapon, so this is obviously not a ritual for any characters who intend on using weapons in the future, then you lose the benefits of this feat, and you would have to first you would have to go through an atone ritual to make up for, breaking the anathema, and then you would need to do the trial again to get the benefits of, for this one, Titan Wrestler, which is pretty cool. And they have a lot of different rituals for a lot of different things. And it's not necessarily always feats, but they do interesting things for your character. These trials, these tests of virtue, give you amazing things for your character going through a particular thing. This is very cool. And like I said, you don't need to buy the book to get this. This stuff will be available on Archive and Nephis. But what you won't be able to get on Archive and Nephis is the regional information. And that is why I think the Tian Xia World Guide is worth it. I think it's definitely worth picking up, both as a GM, especially as a GM, and as a player. Now, obviously, most GMs would probably pick this book up if you are running any of the APs, or you just like running games in the setting of Galarian, which, to be fair, is getting better now that the OGL stuff has happened and we have the new Orc license. Paizo's pushing their content more and more and making it more and more interesting to be its own unique fantasy setting. So that being the case, this is a really good book to pick up just for all that kind of information. And as a player, this can make and any of the world guides really can make your characters so much more rich if you just take a moment to read a couple pages for a region that you think might suit your character. Just take all that information in, apply some of that to your character, represent it well, and you got a recipe for really great roleplay and very fascinating characters, as well as some sneak peeks at some of the interesting things that'll be coming in the character guide, where the mentions of the new ancestries coming in the character guide, and as I mentioned already before, some of the new stuff coming in Divine Mysteries. So that's gonna be it. That's my opinion. I think this book is really, really good. This isn't a review necessarily, as I would like to do an in-depth review when I have the time to actually digest all the content of the book. But this is more or less, this is me saying, hey, this is a really good book. Please check it out. I'll also be doing another video going through the gods and the tests of virtue, so stay tuned for that. And actually, speaking of staying tuned, subscribe, comment below, help the channel out. Every time you like, it increases the chance that someone else might get to see this video. And when you subscribe, you're going to be tuned into all the stuff that I'll be releasing for Pathfinder, Lancer, anything tabletop related. And I guarantee you won't find as much content going on tabletop as you do here. So that being the case, do as you will. Anyway, that's going to be it for me. Thank y'all so much for watching. Good luck with your games. Leave the bad luck to me. And I'll see y'all next time. Bye.